I recently received an email from a brother asking for advice and for some support, some guidance on how to break bad habits. He's been struggling with some addictions and some compulsive behavior and was asking for some advice. And so I thought I would make a video to explain in detail, because this is something that actually comes up quite a bit. As human beings, we all struggle with getting in control of ourselves and being able to do what we want to do, yet we're constantly pulled by the gravity of the lower self towards self-destructive behaviors. I deal with this with my coaching clients, and I often get messages and emails asking about help and support and guidance on how to overcome bad habits. So here's the video: how to break bad habits, how to overcome bad habits, how to change bad habits, and how to overcome addictions, addictive behavior, compulsive behavior. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys a simple two-step process, a very simple two-step process that can give you leverage and power over yourself. So first and foremost, let's discuss what is bad. What do we mean when we say bad? The word for bad or evil in Arabic is shar, and that means something which is bad, which is evil, which is essentially harmful. The opposite of shar in Arabic is khair, which means helpful, beneficial, that which is good. So that which is evil, that which is bad, is something which is harmful. It refers to anything that is harmful to you, either physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, harmful to you and or to others. And so while bad habits, bad inclinations, bad activities, bad behavior, negative behavior, harmful behavior may produce short-term pleasure, but they will always result in long-term harm, long-term consequences. They will always lead to illness, physically, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, and they are detrimental to your overall health, your happiness, your contentment, your satisfaction, your fulfillment in life. They are detrimental to your overall health and happiness. So what are a few examples? For example, something that probably many of us struggle with in the modern day and age: endless scrolling and social media addiction. If you live in the modern age, undoubtedly, and you have a smartphone, undoubtedly you have experienced the endless scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, anything else. This is a complete waste of time, and the constant bombardment of stimulation is incredibly harmful, to the point now that they have blue light glasses, for example, that are helping to reduce the amount of radiation that we're taking in, especially in the evening, just so people can sleep. It's one of the major causes of insomnia, the constant use and addiction to phones, especially through social media. Other examples are addiction to sugar, to sweets, to pastries, to coffee, or to any other food that we use to artificially manage our emotional and psychological state. Overeating itself, which is essentially a means, a tool that we often try to employ to manage and regulate our emotional state and an emotional well-being. Of course, it's fruitless and ultimately self-defeating. It will create a vicious cycle because it may produce temporary, short-term pleasure, but it will lead to long-term misery and unhappiness, both energetically and physically. And so it creates this vicious cycle of dependency. And that's how it is with most bad habits and addictions. They all result and create a vicious cycle because we ultimately end up feeling worse, but then we go back to the thing because it produces short-term pleasure, short-term relief. Other examples are drug use, right? Chemical and drug use to, again, make us feel better in the moment, in the short term. Alcohol is another example. Pornography is a serious problem in the modern world because of its utter prevalence through the internet. Laziness, lethargy, just finding ourselves increasingly disempowered and unable to act, to be effective in life, to be disciplined. And remember, Satan wants to rob us of purpose. In fact, the two things that I discussed in the video: number one, to rob you of purpose, and number two, to maximize suffering. And Napoleon Hill, in his book Outwitting the Devil, talks about this as the means that Satan uses to employ, that Shaitan uses to employ. The means that he employs to rob us of purpose is what he refers to and calls hypnotic rhythm. In Arabic, this is simply ghafla, which can be translated as heedlessness, unconsciousness, a lack of focus, a lack of clarity, a lack of awareness, a lack of awakenedness. It's a lack of prescience and a lack of ability to exercise free will, to exercise your will, to exercise choice. And this is the only power we actually truly have in creation: the ability to choose, the ability to make choices. And of course, Satan uses, Shaitan, Iblis, he uses this power against us. And so the only way we can ever truly be free is to learn to get in control of ourselves. That power is always in operation through us. We are a creation of Allah. We are the Khalifa, the deputy, the vicegerent of Allah Almighty in creation. It is always in operation. We are literally creating the world that we live in, the reality that we experience moment by moment, both individually and collectively, whether we realize it or not. And the whole point of religion, the whole point of Islam, is to come into alignment with divine will so that what we create, what we experience, what we project becomes a reality and becomes results that are in alignment with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with goodness, with light, with beauty, with health, with harmony, with peace. We are never free until we can choose effectively, until we can make effective choices, meaning that we can do what we want to do. Nobody wants to be addicted to drugs or alcohol or pornography or anything else. Most people would rather live lives that are free of these debilitating indulgences, addictions, compulsive behaviors, negative and disempowering habits. But most people are unable to get in control of themselves. And the secret is that willpower is not enough. Just simply wanting or wishing change is not enough. We have to be strategic. We have to be intentional. We have to be intelligent. The whole point of faith and religion is actually to lead a human being to freedom. And we're not free. Freedom is not the ability to engage in any manner of degenerate, self-destructive behaviors. That's not freedom. Real freedom is freedom from the self, freedom from the lower self, so that we can actually actualize and realize the potential that we were created with, the potential that we have been created for. True freedom, real freedom, is the ability to follow your heart and to be free from the lower self, from the mind and the gut, to actually live as you were meant to live, as you are capable of living, as we want to be and live. If we could only overcome the gravity of the self, the gravity of the lower self. True freedom is being a servant to Allah, a servant to God, rather than a servant to the self and to the world. True freedom is to be free from the tyranny of the mind and to be free from the passions, the hungers, the thirst, the desires of the lower self. Again, for Muslims, we must live lives in balance. Life requires balance, and there are halal, there are permissible, there are blessed ways to meet our needs, yet unfortunately in the modern world we are losing ourselves in indulgence, in excess. So now, how to overcome and how to break bad habits. 2 simple steps. Number 1, adopt a single good habit. Simply institute, begin to incorporate into your daily life, your daily routine, a single good, positive, constructive, beneficial habit. Something that is positive rather than negative, something that is healthy rather than unhealthy, something that is constructive rather than destructive, something that is healing rather than debilitating and disease-inducing. And that's all it takes. The beginning is by instituting a single positive good habit, a single good action. And this can really be in any area of your life, because anything you improve improves everything. Everything affects everything. Improve one thing and you will improve everything. So what are a few examples? Exercise, going to the gym, meditation and meditative practice, prayer, dhikr, healthy, living, vital, natural foods, a good diet, good food. Simply begin to introduce into your life a single positive good habit, and it will automatically begin to give you power over yourself. It will begin to attract goodness and light into your life, and it will begin to repel darkness, density, harmfulness, evil. Remember, you can't just simply stop doing something because you don't want to do it. The gravity of the lower self is too strong most often. It's very difficult to overcome the self purely through willpower. We have to be intelligent and strategic. So bring in a good habit, use your willpower to do something good, and that will begin to repel that which is bad. When you start incorporating these good habits like exercise, going to the gym, meditation, prayer, dhikr, these things, eating good foods, these things will begin to create and produce in your system happiness hormones, positive hormones, and you will immediately begin feeling better. And once you start to feel better, you will start to do better. Once you start to feel better, because your body is now producing hormones that make you feel better, you'll be less inclined to try to regulate your emotions and your state through food, through cake, through pastries, through ice cream. Once you are in positive and constructive action, you'll be less likely to seek comfort in drugs, in alcohol, in pornography, in any negative and self-destructive behavior. As you start to build you become less inclined towards destructive behaviors and actions. So begin to overcome and break, begin to change bad habits by simply introducing good habits, and you do this one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. You're not going to be able to overnight begin praying and meditating, waking up early in the morning, exercising, going to the gym, eating healthy. It's possible, but highly unlikely. And you may be able to do it for a couple of days, but you will burn out. Build incrementally. Create change incrementally, progressively. That is the secret. So introduce a single good habit. And habit is the key. Repetition is the key. Consistency is the key. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings and light upon him, his family, his companions, and his inheritors, he ﷺ said that the most beloved action to God is that which is done consistently, even if it is small. Consistency is the key to change, to progress, to evolution. So for example, you could start your day with a healthy breakfast of fruits or maybe a homemade green smoothie. You could begin your day by going to the gym and getting some exercise, by waking up a little bit earlier and spending it in prayer and in meditation. Any one thing you do will begin to change everything. Your whole quality of life will begin to radically improve almost instantly. And with consistency, it will continue to become more and more better over time. So institute a single good, positive, constructive, healing habit. Examples: prayer, meditation, exercise, nutritious, healthy, living, vital food. What I'm sharing with you guys is precisely the method of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessings upon him, and upon all the messengers and prophets of God, beginning with Adam alayhi salam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, last and final messenger of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. What I'm sharing with you is the precise method of the Prophet and how he created change in his companions and in his community. He ﷺ did not immediately begin an outright ban, for example, alcohol. He instead called people towards prayer and then progressively began to restrain the believers from drinking, ultimately until it was banned altogether. But it was a progressive change. He first called them to goodness, to light, to belief, to faith, to prayer, to meditation, to dhikr, to fasting, to learning, to reflection. As they began to adopt positive habits one by one, everything negative began to fall away. And in a short amount of time, they were completely transformed as human beings, from the lowest of low oftentimes to the highest and to the best that humanity has ever seen. There's a valuable tradition that I'd like to share with you guys from our Prophet ﷺ, a hadith. And this was included in Imam Nawawi's Arba'in, his 40 hadith. So his collection of 40 essential hadith. And this is recorded in the book of Tirmidhi. The Prophet ﷺ is recorded as having said, "Be mindful of Allah wherever you are, and follow a bad deed with a good one to erase it, and behave amongst others with good character." Be mindful of Allah wherever you are, and follow a bad deed with a good one to erase it, and behave amongst others with good character. Good deeds, positive deeds, repel, erase, heal, correct, and purify negative deeds, bad actions. It's a prophetic secret. Bring light, bring goodness, and it will dispel darkness. You cannot fight against the dark. All you can do is bring light into the darkness, and it will dispel darkness. The second step to creating change and overcoming bad habits is to begin to change your environment. Make a similar positive change in your environment. And we've got to remember that we are products of our environments. That's why it's so important for people of faith to create healthy, supportive, faith-based environments that they exist in, that they live in, that they connect to. The whole point of religion, of Islam, was to create an environment that was conducive to the awakening of human potential, to the refinement of human character, to the cultivation of spirituality and excellence and transcendence. That's the point of the religion, to create an environment that is conducive to human evolution. So as you adopt a single good habit, begin to make a positive change in your environment. Begin to connect with a new environment. The environments that we immerse ourselves reflect to us what is possible for us. Environments equal possibilities. And environments are also reflections of self-image. They affect our self-image. The things and people that you are surrounded with will become defining aspects of your self-image. That's why it's so important to look away from the bad, look away from things that are not conducive, and towards things which are. The Prophet ﷺ is recorded as having said, "Keep company with those to whose states you aspire." He ﷺ also said, "A person will be on the religion of his friends, So it's very important to choose the right company, the right companions, the right environment that we exist and live in. So introduce and make consistent exposure to a supportive environment, to things and individuals that can support you on your path towards positive growth, change, evolution, towards the awakening of strength in your life. Be in the environment of and in connection with people who have light, who have strength, who have discipline, who have focus, who have connection, who are successful, who are healthy, who have knowledge, wisdom, understanding, comprehension, who have experience, who are walking the path and striving towards excellence. Connect with them. Now you can connect with individuals either physically, which is ideal if you can keep physical company with people that you aspire to grow with, or even energetically or remotely. Again, ideally you want to be in physical company with people of excellence. But in the world that we live in, it's not always possible. It may be very difficult to do. You may have limited access to the physical company of people that you look up to. Unfortunately, now we are living globally in environments that are dominated by hedonism, by unconsciousness, by indulgence, by excess, by laziness. And it's very difficult to pull ourselves out of that reality unless we connect with those who have already or are in the process of breaking free. So connect and begin the process of immersing yourself in an alternative reality, an alternative possibility. And you do this by connecting to people, to individuals. This is how Allah Almighty creates and makes possible change from heart to heart, from person to person. And because we have very limited ability to be in physical company with people of excellence and people of success, use content. Become very deliberate in the content that you tune to, that you consume, that you choose to expose and open yourself to. Be very intentional about the content that you tune to. Remember, environment is practically everything. We are products of our environment. And one of the most powerful ways to create change is to change your environment, to change who and what you are connected to, what you tune to. The ark, right? The ark, Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, Noah, in his time was calling people towards goodness, towards truth, towards light, towards God. And they refused. Most of the people refused to follow and to listen. And he was commanded to build an ark for the believers. He was commanded, alayhi salam, to create a ship, a vessel, upon which believers could board and be saved from the catastrophe that was coming. The ark, for most people in this day and age, in this time, is going to be virtual. It's going to be faith. The believers now don't have a physical ark that we're going to be able to all get onto. Inshallah, with God's will, we are amongst the believers. May Allah make us to be amongst the believers. If there isn't a physical ark that we're all going to be able to board and find safety and salvation, the ark of this time is going to be virtual. It's going to be faith in the heart. And so connect with people of faith, with people of excellence, with people of light. Consistently connect to and consume content that supports you, that strengthens you, that guides you. Tune to content and to individuals that help you and also help them, right? Any relationship must be reciprocal. To truly benefit, you can't just receive, you've also got to give. So find ways to support those platforms that are vital to you, that are essential to your personal growth and success. This too was the way of our Prophet ﷺ. Had Allah wanted, He could have made the Prophet ﷺ and granted him all the wealth in the world to do whatever they needed to. But Allah created conditions that were very difficult for the Prophet ﷺ and his companions so that they can give, because Allah Almighty says, you will not believe until you give from what you love. So Allah created the opportunity to support, to provide the Prophet ﷺ and believers throughout the ages to this very day. Because to truly benefit, relationships must be cyclical, must be reciprocal. Energy must be flowing in a circle for true benefit, right? True progress in the world, in the universe, is spiral. And as you give, you receive. And as you receive, you're able to give. And this goes upward and upward. So begin to change your reality, your possibilities, your experience, your habits by changing what you tune and connect to. It will give you strength. It will give you support. Change your environment by changing your focus, because your focus determines your reality. So quick review, two-step process to creating change and overcoming bad habits. Number one, adopt a single good habit, positive habit, constructive habit. Number two, create a change in your environment, that which you tune to, that which you connect with, and do so consistently. Our shuyukh, our masters, Qadasallahu asrarhum, they consistently would emphasize that the way is in companionship, it's in association, in suhbah. That is the secret to change, and that is the secret to the change that the Prophet ﷺ catalyzed and awakened amongst his companions and in his community. That is the secret of alchemy. It is connection. It is tuning to. It is companionship with. Perhaps in modern terms, we may call this the law of association. And I speak about this quite a bit. And this is why a sheikh is so important. Because a sheikh, a guide, a mentor, a leader, a coach, a trainer, a traditional sheikh becomes a focal point, begins to show you what is possible for you. And simply by keeping company with them, either physically or remotely, by tuning to them, it begins to catalyze change in you. A new possibility begins to awaken and emerge within you. And if you haven't seen those videos that I've done recently on what is a sheikh and how to find a sheikh, check those out as well. It helps shed some light on this aspect of the spiritual path and of creating change and moving towards your divinely destined potential. So these 2 steps, good habits, environmental influences and focus, and then repeat. Once a habit has become consistent, then you can introduce another good habit, right? Once you're doing something consistently, then you can introduce and institute another new behavior that then gives you even more power and strength and consistency. And this is how we create change over time. Remember that willpower is not enough. Simply wanting and wishing to change your behavior is not going to be sufficient. We don't have the strength to overcome. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, we are created weak. And so we have to be intelligent. We have to be intentional. We have to be strategic. War is strategy. And as I've been saying lately, we are at war. The recent video I did, Your Struggles Are Destined, I go into this and explain that we are in war and we will always be in war so long as we're in this world. So we've got to be strategic and intelligent about how to approach that battle and how to win the war. We have to learn to get and to create leverage over ourselves, because sheer force will not be enough. I hope you guys enjoy and benefit from this video and from all of the content that I'm putting out. If you have not yet done so, subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. And hit the notifications icon so that you'll know when I publish new content to support you on your path of healing and strength and success. And if you have not yet done so, head over to borderpoint.com. The link will be in the description below. Begin your journey of rediscovering your power and your potential and your destiny as a deputy and vicegerent of Allah Almighty, the Creator, our Lord. There's a free mini course that you can get instant access to, guided meditations, and a lot of supportive material to support you upon the path. And that particular course, in fact, is only going to be available for a very limited time. And so if you haven't yet done so, head over to borderpoint.com, take advantage of that while it's still available, and it's entirely for free. May Allah Almighty support you, strengthen you, and support and sustain all of us with His light and with His power, with His love, and with nearness to His divine presence. To your divine and eternal success. Fi aman Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.